My favorite characters are always the ones who start out in one place and end on another. They have been put through the ringer. They have gone through a journey. And by the time we get to the end of the book, we have seen them grow in ways that are surprising, that we didn't expect, or maybe we did expect. And we're like, thank God they finally got the lesson. This is called a character arc. And while you may have never heard it by that term, you've probably lived it, right? When your bestie finally dumps Chad after taking him back 17 times, and you're like, look at our girl. She has grown. It's for real this time. If you're new here, my name is Kelly with a Rogue MFA, and you're going to learn all of the lessons I taught at university without having to go asshole deep in debt. And today, I'm going to talk to you about 3 different character arcs that you can employ in your story to help pull your readers through and create characters they want to hang out with again and again. Let's get into it. Number 1, the positive character arc. Oh, they've changed. Thank God. This is the one where we think the person is going to get better. It's a rags to riches. It's a bad seed turned philanthropist. It's that freaking Mr. Darcy finally ditching the insults against Elizabeth and becoming the single man in possession of a good fortune who's actually worth the time to hang out with. These characters all follow kind of a similar pattern. And let's break it down using Pride and Prejudice because obviously. The pattern begins when the character holds a false belief about something that is almost always in direct opposition to the thing they most want. This is just like that jerk Mr. Darcy proclaiming that Elizabeth is tolerable, I guess, but not nearly handsome enough to tempt him. Haha. Only then, the truth will quickly be introduced. And now Mr. Darcy has caught feelings for this feral child Elizabeth Bennet. And what is he going to do? He has to tell her. He has to tell her against his will, against his reason, against his whole damn character. And he confesses that, which then gives us a setback. Because we know Elizabeth, she's not having any of that shit. She's like, listen, against your will, like I'd rather die penniless. Right? So what does that leave Darcy to do? Now he has to change. He has to come to his senses, and his adventure, his quest begins to make right what he made wrong for her, which then allows him to rescue Lydia from the scoundrel Wickham and like restore honor to Elizabeth's family. And really it was for Elizabeth, so she wouldn't be tarnished by this entire thing. And once that happens, Elizabeth changes and she's like, aha, okay, maybe this guy is worth his salt after all. And that leads us into the next one, the negative character arc. The negative character arc is so addictive and tantalizing because it does this back and forth of will they, won't they? Is it going to happen? Are they not? Are they going to come to their senses? Are they going to make good on the promise? Only in the very end, they fall back into that false belief. They allow that kind of lie that they've been living to be the truth of their life. So this is something that we saw like with Loki, right? In the very first Thor movie, we thought, oh my God, maybe he can change. Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. But these also, like the positive character arc, follow a pattern. So let's break that down. Now in Pride and Prejudice, our negative character arc belongs to Lydia Bennet. She is so hopped up on the idea of romance and marriage and all of this stuff that when she runs into that scoundrel Wickham, it is against all reason, all warnings, all everything that she falls for him, that she chases him down, that she'll do anything to be with him. She has this over-idealized idea of what romance and like her future could possibly be, what this marriage actually means. And it doesn't help that we have a secondary character in Mrs. Bennet who is willing to marry her daughters off at the first bidder. She's fine. Oh my God, he wants to marry her. Great. Say yes. You have to do it. There may never be another one. So while Lydia is absolutely entranced by the first rake she runs into, the truth has to quickly be introduced. That while Mr. Wickham appears to be respectable, he's in the military, he's all these things, we have this rumbling with Mr. Darcy that's like, all is not well here with Wickham. And there's some truth under that, but because we have this other conflicting positive character arc, we don't really like Mr. Darcy that much right now, even though he's telling us the truth. It allows Lydia to kind of disbelieve him and to not pay him any heed and to continue on because, again, she's so single-minded, so determined that she forgoes the truth. So while Lydia is entirely moon-eyed over these military men and the idea of marriage, and she's disillusioned by all of her romantic notions, right? the setback has to be introduced. And it was in early in the story, where we know what it means for Lydia to be ruined if she makes the wrong decision. And we also, and Lydia knows, right? Does she care? We're about to find out. But we also know what it means for Elizabeth and the rest of her sisters, of what could happen if Lydia brings scandal upon the family. They aren't in a great position as it is. So this is kind of the last thing that they need. But Lydia seems pretty determined to live the life on her own terms, which means the adventure ensues, and Lydia decides against all reason, all everything, to believe this fantabulous lie of what this romantic life is. She decides she's going to disregard any warnings against Wickham, and she elopes. Dun, dun, dun. Falling back into, or actually in Lydia's case, never really leaving, being told what to do, not being told what to do, but she clings onto this lie in the end. And that opens the door for Darcy to rescue her and to have his arc complete as the positive character arc. So as we continue to go, you start to see how these characters and their arcs start to mingle in with each other's, and how they can provide plot points for each other to either overcome, to fall back into their own disillusionment and stay with this false belief that they've had from the very beginning, or not. But we still have one more character arc to go. So let's talk about it. And it is the flat character arc. What are you talking about, Kelly? I thought that this character was going to be amazing because they started in one place and then they ended in the other. Well, the flat character is one in which the world around them changes, and it's because of them that the world must change. This is the superhero movie, right? This is Captain America. It's why the Marvel franchise is gone through the roof. This is every Hercule Poirot mystery novel. This is James Bond. It's the character that we have relied upon and that we know is going to deliver the goods, and they are going to change the minds of everyone around us. We can rely on this character and sink into them, and they are pivotal to the story and to the other characters' arcs. So let's get into it. This character from the gate is going to require a lot of characterization for you. Typically, they're going to act as a foil for our main character or comic relief, or they're going to bring something into this story that our main characters cannot. It would betray their main character energy or their character development too much for them to be able to play this role. The difference between a flat character arc and the positive and negative is that they're not holding a false belief. They have the truth. They know what that truth is, and they're going to hold on to the truth the whole way through. It's whether or not everyone else can come along for the ride. So in Pride and Prejudice, enter Mr. Collins, the idiotic sycophant who cannot stop talking about Lady Catherine de Bourgh. And his truth is that he now has status because of who he is in proximity to, which is Lady Catherine de Bourgh. He has this amazing patron, therefore he is also amazing. And just like everyone else, this truth is going to be tested. Mr. Collins is mad for Elizabeth Bennet, and during his enormous sales pitch, proposal, whatever it is we're going to call it, Elizabeth says to him flatly, absolutely not. Yikes! So what this flat character has to do now is not change his belief, right? He still believes that he's the catch of the season because of his proximity to Lady Catherine de Bourgh. So instead of changing himself, he changes who he surrounds himself with, and he changes the environment. And so his quest begins to find another character who's going to believe the same truth, or who's going to allow him to continue believing the same truth. Hello, Charlotte Lucas. She's 27 years old. She has no money, no prospects. She's already a burden to her parents, and she's frightened. This is the perfect person to help him uphold his beliefs, because Charlotte sees him as a means of survival. She sees him as a way out. She sees him as being able to provide a life for her that she really doesn't want with him, but she kind of can't stay home anymore. So she'll play the game. And in so doing, she makes sure she sees him as a little as humanly possible. But this marriage also then allows Mr. Collins to keep his truth alive. Clearly he's a catch. He married Charlotte Lucas. Of course, he's a somebody. But it also then allows us to see when Elizabeth and Jane, her sister, marry really well, we can also then start to see the contrast between where they started and where they ended. So this character, while flat and while maintaining their position, also is a marker of time and a marker of character development for the other characters. So while you may have not thought about character arcs and where they could go and how you might need to plot that and plot the plot and plot the timeline, Hopefully, this explanation can show you how these characters and what they believe and what they value and what arc they're on or what journey they're going to take will show you how they can set up plot tripwires and plot points for each other to help them all maintain or grow or fall back into their false belief throughout the entire story. And Pride and Prejudice is a fantastic example of how all three of those plot arcs work. I hope that explanation was helpful, and we'll see you next time. I've heard we have excellent boiled potatoes.